Hello everyone, welcome back to my Let's Play of Zelda Outlands, and in our last episode, our ratty heroine, Chloe, just finished level 7. Now it's time for her to head off to level 8, which is on the frozen path of ice. We're pretty close to the frozen path of ice, so we don't have to walk too far to get there. We are going to take a slight detour though. We're going to head over to the Graveyard of Serenity. We're going to fill up our inventory. We can get some meat, and we're also going to get a red potion. So, in this next dungeon, level 8, it's going to be mainly filled with dark nuts. So, it'll be like level 8 in the original Legend of Zelda game. But they're going to throw a little trick at us to kind of handicap us. We'll end up picking up the red mail, which is the ultimate defensive equipment in this game. Which is going to be definitely helpful because our offensive capabilities are going to be basically cut in half. The gimmick of the dungeon is going to be there's going to be a bunch of red bubbles, and it's basically almost impossible to get through without being hit by them. Which means that instead of being able to use our the Master Sword, we're going to have to use the wand. And the wand is only as powerful as the white sword. So basically our offensive capabilities will be cut in half, games handicap much like us, but we'll double our defensive abilities because, like I said, we're picking up the red mail. So, but we're going to head back to this one-way section. We went here earlier, but instead of heading to where level 8 is going to be, we took a little detour and showed off there was up this way there's a Garuda that steals your money in that cave there, and then to the left there was a waterfall section where you can get some medicine, and you can also get a fairy there. So fairies, of course, fill up your life totally. They also can take off the status of the red bubbles. Now the medicine also does that, so technically in this dungeon, if you lose your sword because of the red bubbles, you can go back to it just drinking some medicine. But like I said, there's so many, the game designer probably figured that people could do that, so there's going to be multiple rooms of the red bubbles. So even if you get your sword back for a room or two, you're probably going to run into more red bubbles and steal your sword away, so it's not really an option. Well, let's head over here, and we're going to have to use the whistle to have the hidden entrance show up. We blow the ocarina. I'm getting the terms confused. It's the recorder in the initial Zelda, and they changed the ocarina in this one. More in line with, I guess, like the Ocarina of Time. But here we have this hidden section, and it takes us here to level 8. So there's our main nemesis in this dungeon is going to be the blue Dark Knuckles, which are palette swaps of Link. And we're going to head over this way first. We're going to want to pick up the red mail ASAP. Technically, when I first came to the Path of Ice a few dungeons ago and showed off, we could have went over here and picked up the red mail. Made some dungeons a little bit easier, but I didn't really want to go out of order, so, well, not necessarily not out of order, but I just wanted to, didn't feel the need to necessarily do that. So, pick up our map, head down this little section here, and pick up the ultimate defensive armor, the red tunic. So now our defensive capabilities are once again doubled. So things that took off 1 heart with the blue mail will now only take off half a heart. So those enemies that did 2 hearts of damage back in the green mail, yep, only doing half a heart now. So things have definitely gotten a lot easier. So we'll also be end up picking up very shortly, not too deep in the dungeon. We'll be picking up the last heart container, the 16th heart container. So. Pretty nice. Let's head on over here. And this is the only room with blue bubbles in. So if we, really want to come back and get swords, but it's really out of the way. So, yeah, we're not really going to see that room much more often. So, just take out these guys before heading over here. And they only take 3 shots now with the Master Sword, so we can save some arrow money. So, let's switch to our arrow here. Take out these tick-tight enemies. Book. And switch to our boomerang to pick up the spoils. And let's head on over. Oh, we got our last heart container, so that's nice. We don't have to wait until the end of the dungeon for the boss to take out the heart to get the last heart container. Give us a little more survivability. So, technically, if you think about it, it's almost like with the red mail and the previous blue mail, it's almost like getting 4 hearts. Because if you were just using the regular green mail, because you'd be able to take 4 times as much damage. So it's always nice when enemies spawn inside the little diamond shape there, because then you can hit them and they can't hit you. So, well, let's head back to the beginning of this dungeon, and we'll go off to the left. So we've taken care of the stuff to the right there. Dungeon looks like kind of like a weird puffy sea. Take out him. Nope, didn't drop anything. Oh well. So here we're back at the entrance. We left this one guy alive, so the other guys wouldn't spawn back. When he gave us a heart, back to full life. Woohoo! Yep. He must have got the Thunderbird must have got a discount. See, there we have on these blue iron knuckles, because there's quite a bit of them here. Dog nuts. Fake links. Boop. We saw there a little bit, the little tactic of stabbing down with the sword. Blue will cure the touch of orange. It's a little late to tell us that. We've already been through several dungeons where they had blue and orange bubbles, so try to avoid them as long as we can. Oh, and it was all for naught. No. That's okay, we got the wand, so the wand will help deal with this stuff. We got a blue bubble there to pick up. Not going to be as nice though in the future dungeons, in the future rooms. Like I said, there's only that one room that has all blue bubbles in it, and it'll be off the beaten path, so you can't rely on jumping to it to solve a red bubble problem. Because it showed when we went to that room, the only way to get it's kind of detached from the rest of the dungeon. We'd have to go back around and end up back at the beginning. So, yeah, even if you're deep into the dungeon and you do want to get your sword back, you go in there, but then you'll be forced back to the beginning of the dungeon and probably end up having to go through the room where you lost your sword at anyway. So, yeah, not much of a choice. You're probably going to take damage from the blue bubbles and go damage from, take a hit from the red bubbles and lose your sword. There's an illusion along the red tree path. The red tree path is, well, aptly named. It's the ground is going to be red, and there's a whole bunch of trees, and it's to the east of where we picked up the wand, and it's basically going to be the pathway that takes us to level 9. And like Death Mountain in the base game, it's mainly going to be full of a whole bunch of Lionel enemies, ones that suit the swords, but in this game they're Wizrobe and they shoot spells, but no. Difficult enemy, probably the toughest, you know, overworld enemy, because they can do a lot of damage, but we can take a lot of damage now that we picked up the red mail. And they're pretty nice. There is a medicine shop there on the red path, so if you have to, well, if you go north there, that's where the blue bubble room is, but like I said, we ended up having to go through a whole bunch of those rooms with the red bubbles anyway, so there's no real point in getting our sword back. The wand will suffice. So we already cleared those rooms to the north there, that's where we got the heart container, so there's no reason to go up that way. So don't have to worry about avoiding these bubbles because we already lost our sword, so north was where that heart container was. So don't need our sword to take care of these guys. We got the bow and arrow to do that. So as I was saying, yeah, there's medicine on the red path. So if you get stuck in level 9, you can always just retreat from the dungeon and go get some more medicine. They also kind of have it nice. I know I said the main enemy is going to be the Lionel enemies, but there's also quite a few of the P-Hats. And P-Hats, their common drop is the hearts and fairies. So you can always duck into the dungeon, come out, and take on a bunch of the P-Hats and refill your life that way. When enemies, if you defeat all the enemies on a screen, it takes several screens to walk through before they respawn, but if you defeat all the enemies on the screen, go into a dungeon, and then head back out of the dungeon instantly, the enemies will totally respawn, and it just resets them entirely, the flag, when entering a dungeon and exiting a dungeon. So here we're going to have to use our wand to poke at these enemies. So even though the wand has a little bulb on it, and is definitely dull, it does deal more damage than a sharp wooden sword. So, like I said, it takes 4 hits. The wooden sword will take 8. Choked up there. Let's finish these guys off. Almost done. Unfortunately, you can't hook them with the magic. You have to get close to them and, like I said, poke them with the rod. But the rod also has that little function where it has like a hitbox to the side, so we can face down and then poke, and as they walk toward us, we'd end up hitting them with the side of the wand. So there's always a nice thing to pick up. Clock, or metal in this game. It freezes all the enemies, and it freezes them until we defeat all the enemies in the room. So I know I brought up Zelda Classics a few times in some of the previous episodes, but one of the flags in that game is, I guess you could have it where the clock only lasts a few seconds, so it's not guaranteed to freeze the enemies entirely forever. But we'll take advantage of that forever freeze that we're getting here. So after all the malarkey we had to deal with at the beginning of the game, any advantage we can get is good. In this game, this is kind of a tougher room here. Well, it could be, but there's so many sprites on the screen that a lot of times the hand here, like this one here, will actually get frozen in place. So it's actually easier to take out those the Gleeok monster there, or the Gleeok swap monster, because his hand isn't going to necessarily flying around and floating around, and sometimes with so many sprites on the screen, the Gleeok heads will, or in this case the hands, won't be firing shots because the game can't process it. And you'd rather, of course, have the statue shooting shots because they take off less damage. So, all that work, and we just got one movie? Oh man. Well, we're gonna have to do some more work up here, so. And we got the compass finally, but the dungeon's pretty much all clear. Hey, we got another one of those medals to freeze all the enemies. Yay! Take these guys out. But yeah, where's the fairy supposed to be here? Where's it at? I don't see it. Well, we're gonna have to push this block, and the upper right statue disappears, but it can still shoot fireballs for some reason. And that'll take us to one of these item rooms, and our item is the fairy, the last fairy. And now that we have the 8 Tetrarch fairies, we're able to head to the red path, and these 8 Tetrarch fairies, along with Link's power, sort of like the maidens, the 7 maidens in A Link to the Past, we're going to combine our power and break the seal on the Thunderbird's castle. Take care, bye!